Harshni, welcome to agreeing to do this Zoom session with me. And I am recording this session. And as I mentioned to you in the email, the purpose of this recording is to share what your journey through this APHE meeting is. How did you end up submitting the abstract? So other people, other students in India know, those who are motivated, that there are opportunities for them. Okay, so the first question I would like you to do is just introduce yourself, which college you are from, which year, and we go from there.
Yes, I'm Harshni Yabaluri. I'm probably doing my PharmD internship now in KIMS, Begumpet, Hyderabad. And I'm from Bharat Institute of Technology, which is associated with JNTUH. And yes, sir.
Okay, what are your career ambitions? Where do you like to go after you finish your PharmD?
Yes, sir. I so badly want to do a PhD in clinical research. And I always wanted to have a triple PhD before I turn my 50s. So that is where I'm going to lead in the
Okay.
next coming 10 or
You have
15
to have
years.
what? Triple PhDs? What did you say?
Yes, sir, it's triple PhD.
Or what do you mean by triple PhD?
I don't know, sir, that because I had several interviews where people were like highly qualified and people always respected them. So I always thought that because PhD is generally the practical approach, it is not just theory where you just read, write exams and you're done. It is not that way. So I wanted to explore things in a practical method.
Okay.
So that is why I
Well,
thought.
I have to say that now that you have told me this is your goal, the APHA meeting is a great way for you to get into that fact because it's little like a buffet. You get experts from different areas coming up. And if you get, first of all, when you want to do research, you have to show to the professor that you're capable of doing research. Like, unlike
Yes.
even now, I've got students who say, which course is better? PhD is not just taking like a PharmD or any undergraduate course that you just read some books and take some exams, get it. It is at this point, to me, a person who is qualified to do PhD is who can ask the question. You have to be able to find a question and then find an answer to that, and that's what PhD is about. And it is requires a lot of work and a lot of patience to do it. So, but I think you're on the right path. Now, tell me how long you have known Karthik Rakam, and when did you become part of this Farm Doctors Ambassador staff?
Yes, sir. All thanks to COVID because everything became online.
Mhm.
And that is when actually Karthik sir dropped a message in one of the groups saying that I want to start a team where I'm not going to work alone and I want to work with a team of members who are like dedicated towards achieving something and improving PharmD. So I thought, okay, I was like completely idle in the lockdown and our classes, college classes were also not so frequent. So I thought, okay, there is a lot of time for me. Let me just give it a try. And that is how I joined. And there was a mentorship program like for the first 4 to 5 months that built an interest in me. And that is how I continued to stay in farm doctors.
Okay, and so did you attend the sessions which I presented on research basics and all that through Pharmacon? By
Yes, I did. Yes,
okay.
I did.
So what motivated you to work? When did you identify the project you just finished, submitted, and what motivated you to do that project?
Yes, as a kid, I always had different questions like why, how, what. I was not a person who just read things, wrote exams, came home. It was always a practical approach for me because I came from ICSE background where everything was application based learning.
Okay.
And thanks to my father, because every time I asked him a question, he did not answer me just to satisfy me. He answered me so that I get to know things better, and that is how the research thing came into my mind. I thought, okay, this will be a better option for me as a career because I'm not a person who can work from 9 to 5 and just come home and I'm done. I'm not that way. And coming to the project which I chose, it is the systematic analysis of TPMT genotyping. I actually found a doctor in our KIMS hospital. We had a one-on-one conversation one day and I was like, ma'am, I don't want to do a project. just for sake of submitting it for my 5th year. I want to do something that is unique. It is okay if I have to risk, like even if it is a minimal chance thing, it is fine for me. And even if it costs a bit, I'll afford it. I have
Okay.
no problem. And I don't want to waste my time like searching for sponsors, because we only had 3 to 4 months for our 5th year project because of this COVID thing. We couldn't go to hospital earlier. So it was only 3 to 4 months left for my submission deadline. So I said her that, and she was like, okay, I'll give you 3 to 4 options. And she randomly picked a few topics from that. And I was like, no, these are so basic. Let me try. And then there was one of my senior from the family doctors itself. He was working on genotyping,
Okay.
pharmacogenomics, sorry.
Okay.
From there the idea came. Okay, he told me multiple times that there are very few studies with respect to pharmacogenomics, and I thought, okay, let me search for something that is related to genotyping, so that is rare. No one dares to do that. Everyone are just behind the drugs, diabetes, heart thing, everything, all that. So I thought, okay, let me try this. I worked on it for 3 to 4 days where I searched random topics, and then I found this called TPMT genotyping, and that grabbed my attention. And after seeing that, there were very few studies, especially in India, and that too with very few subjects, like 30, 40 subjects, that's all, because they were not getting a larger group of subjects. So I thought, okay, this will be ideal for me. And I took up the risk, although so many faculty, so many doctors asked me, like, are you serious? Because there is no scope of it. And if in case you don't get any abnormal case, you're going to end up with a negative result where you will have to write that everything is normal. And no one actually cares when you simply write a big paper and conclusion says everything is normal. Then what is the use of you doing a study, wasting 3 or 4 months of your time? Better choose another topic that is common. I was like, it's okay, sir. I know how to write the draft a paper, even if the results are normal. I'll put the result section in a positive way, so that that is informative rather than just saying the results are normal, nothing is abnormal. That is not how I'm going to write. So I just took up the case, and to my luck, um, among 115 subjects, there were 10 abnormal patients, and I could finally draft a nice paper,
Okay.
which is
No,
actually worth.
that's very good, very commendable actually. And so, how did you get the fund? Did you fund yourself for getting the kits and all that for the PCR stuff? And how did it work?
Yes, sir, because it was there were very minor chances of me getting a abnormal case. What I did was, I thought, let me first start it with the observational study, and in case I find any abnormal cases, that will just give me a hope, like 1% hope, so that I'll then go for like what do we say, a practical approach, where I'll go and I'll fund it and then do it. But due to the COVID thing and all, I couldn't take it to the next step beyond observational study. And for now, it is only up to the observational thing.
Okay, observation study means you did do the PCR on those things, right? That's what I'm
No,
saying.
sir. I collected the reports from the laboratory, taking
Oh,
the
okay,
IRB
okay,
approval.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay. So it's already been done. So
Yeah.
why did they do the PCR on these things if they did not believe it? I mean, why would anybody do PCR on if you're not collecting? I mean, if
Yes,
you're not
sir. If
specifically looking for it.
generally, whenever they want to prescribe a thiopurine drug,
Uh-huh.
uh, for the action of thiopurine drug, this TPMT enzyme is what actually controls the activity of thiopurines.
Got it. Okay.
So, yeah.
So they routinely did the PCR, I mean,
Yes,
PCR.
sir. If a doctor wants to prescribe a thiopurine, he should he should ask the patient to undergo a TPMT enzyme activity test.
Okay.
Only from the report of it, he will describe the dose.
Okay. So in this particular case, if the 10% were below normal or abnormal, did the doctor change the doses for them? Did he look at the results at all? Or
Yes, sir.
Oh, see, he did.
They did, yeah.
He did. Okay, very good. So it's interesting. So even though they themselves did it, why were they wondering that it will not be the same?
Because generally what happens here, when you already know that there is only 1%, like 0.1% of abnormality, there comes a negligence
Okay,
where people take it for granted.
okay, okay, okay. So anyway, I will continue the chat after the recording. So it's just getting different now. Now you have written it now, the abstract. I mean, am very confident that this will get accepted. So basically, if the COVID travel restrictions are not there, I mean, it's all lifted by this time, by the spring, I certainly hope to welcome you at the University of Finlay. So let me just stop it, the recording, and we can have the conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Let me see, last stop the recording here.